Wenatchee Insurance.
Woohoo!
Okay, this is Cecilia. I'm
Hi.
Matt.
I'm Susie.
And today we're going to talk about something really, it can be fun.
Okay, we didn't discuss what our topic was beforehand, so launch ahead.
Well, yesterday we were at it was the reverse career interview thing.
It was a career fair at one of our local high schools. A lot of different businesses, kind of giving an idea of what's out there for high school students and graduates, giving some career ideas, and some of them were taking applications, and some just being informative.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things is I'm always, watching pitches.
Yes.
It's what I do. Someone's making a pitch. I pay attention to what they're doing.
I was pitching like a mad woman yesterday.
And there was a point where it's like, I acknowledged that you didn't recognize buy-ins.
Yes. And we wanted to discuss that a little bit more.
And we're going to discuss it a little more because it comes from two different aspects of sales.
Okay.
The first aspect of the sales is the script.
Okay.
You run Medicare off script, currently running a script.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because you have to. CMS comes out with rules saying, hey, you got to go through these particular topics.
Right. And you got to hit points at certain points. You got to hit a bunch of certain points. Otherwise, you're not going to be compliant.
Correct. So you've got this fighter pilot check sheet. Oh yeah, I talked about, this A, B coverage, D coverage penalty if that doesn't have, and then we can get into the product.
Right.
Perfectly awesome. A lot of sales jobs go through that.
Yeah. Yeah. I try and shake it up a little bit though.
Yes. That's going off script, but
but that's not the point.
It's actually very, very important.
Well, I'm not saying it's not important. I'm saying that's not our topic.
It's in there.
Okay.
Because, there are points where why do you go off script?
Because I'm reading the room usually. Or I get somebody, either I'm addressing a specific question from the client, or I am noticing that we need to go and pivot to a different direction because they're losing interest, or because it's not not germane to the conversation.
Okay, that's going off script. Typically, you blaze through the script. At the end, you overcome any objections, and you close. That's script.
I'm very textbook in that regard.
Script 101.
Yeah.
I've gone through all sorts of different pitches, from door to door to $250,000 applications to, hey, here's your free Apple Health. Mm-hmm. And what I look for is its attention.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for someone that says, yeah, close it, move on.
Yes. And I do get lay down closers.
Yes, because if you keep blazing through a script, you'll turn that lay down buyer into someone who's walking out the door.
That's always a challenge. When I get a lay down buyer, because I am required to hit certain points, what I usually do in my office is say, listen, I have to tell you these things. They make me tell you these things. So I'm just going to run through real quick. And then they get you enrolled. Mm-hmm. I just let them know that, hey, I recognize that you're ready to do this, but I have rules I have to follow.
Yes.
And that works out fine. Mm-hmm. Because then they're part of the process.
Script work is really embedded in customer service.
Yeah, it really is.
And you work years in customer service where you weren't given the opportunity to profit using sales.
Yeah, there was very little attitude there because it was less active sale, more passive sale. I mean, I wasn't expected to sell that specific microwave. because I was never working in a commission-based system. It was like, well,
You weren't getting paid.
I wasn't getting paid to sell that particular product.
You weren't getting paid to think. You weren't getting reimbursed for when you made sales.
No.
It's
didn't get any credit for doing anything
didn't
awesome.
any credit for you to, you weren't in any bonus program. And yeah, it's a way that you can cut your teeth on developing talent.
There you go.
It's also a way to dull your talent because you can't get your attention off yourself. You'll see this in when you go in for bad cell phone sales.
Yeah.
They'll run you through a script. Or if you get on a phone call, they'll run you through a script.
Yeah. And if they diverge from the script, they get totally lost. Yes.
It's like in the checkout stand, if they ask you, well, how's your day going? And you say anything other than great,
mm-hmm.
You'll throw down a stumbling block.
Yeah.
That's some of the weaknesses is that reliance
mm-hmm.
of the script. It becomes this weird crutch to move a transaction.
Okay, I can see that. Absolutely see that. Been guilty of that more than once.
Yeah, it's one of those ones. It's an easy one to fall back on because we develop natural scripts as mm-hmm. we go through.
Yeah.
And it's just what we do. It's like, okay, yeah, this is it. This is it. And when I mentioned the whole, looking for a buy-in, it's a very different technique.
Okay.
Because you start to go through the sales presentation
mm-hmm.
of, hey, this is a product. This is what you're looking for. And you start to build these buy-ins. They nod their head in agreement. They say yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you start looking for the next one.
Okay.
And they say yes to that. And then they go to the next point.
Mm-hmm.
They say yes to that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're building these buy-ins, and there's a point where it's like, okay, I've got a strong enough response.
Mm-hmm.
Close it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I can see that. Now, one of the things we were running into yesterday is we weren't actually selling a product. We were just pitching mm-hmm. the idea of the insurance industry.
Yes.
And you stopped me because I was missing a buy-in.
What was happening was the person would come up and buy it. It's like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And they were ready to hit the bingo sheet, grab the swag, and get on out there. And you kept going.
Okay.
And that stuff, and you did it a couple times, where it was repeated. And I'm like, okay, this is the point where you're turning. They're seeing you put on the little windbreaker and run out to that car sales desperation, and it's like, no, we're in a super cool environment.
Mm-hmm.
Our job is to tell how it is and get them excited to want to try it. That's all we did.
Yeah, and I think we achieved it with some folks.
Oh, we did. Definitely.
Oh yeah.
Because it's the, oh, you mean you can wear your Birkenstocks.
Mm-hmm. You can have purple hair.
You can have purple hair. You can have visible tattoos.
That was a huge, huge thing. You're showing up. Matt was showing off his taco about insurance tattoo, and people loved it. These students love the idea that you can do this and have and be you. You don't have to be anyone but who you are, which means a visible tattoo or visible, piercings or visible, purple hair. And
that's
huge.
The fact I have an insurance tattoo on my forearm freaks out the old guard.
Oh my God. They don't know what to do with you.
They don't. And it's like, okay, cool. I'm in this game for the long term.
Mm-hmm.
So the old guard, yeah, they're kind of sinking in the tar pits at this point.
Mm. So the things you pointed out a few times is the average age for an an agency owner in this valley is over 65. It's like, oh yeah,
Yes,
and
and
it's true.
it's very true for agency owners. They're very long in the tooth, um, and that means they're very vulnerable, and they fall back on those sales scripts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I need it this way. This is the only way to make my Xerox machine to print money.
Yep.
That's literally a script I've had more than once handed to me. It's like, this is a Xerox to print money.
Yeah.
Literally, the old guards will use that one. And it's like, okay. And it's really important. It's like, okay, cool. And you start working that and start paying attention and seeing on how well it works. It's why when we go to the different internet insurance groups,
Mm-hmm.
you've got large packs of individuals looking for internet leads.
Yes.
They're script-based sales.
Oh yeah, you're probably right. They're the phone slappers.
They're the phone slap. We actually got asked if we were cold calls. No, we don't do cold calls.
We did get asked, didn't we? Yeah, actually, I only heard there was like one person asked about cold calls.
Yeah.
So maybe the future of sales with this next generation is not the cold call.
Well, it shouldn't be because
no, it shouldn't be. It's not. It's a dinosaur.
It's a dinosaur that has lingered on since 2003 in the canned spam bag.
Yeah, I mean,
and I had to point that out. It's like that is so antiquated that I'm surprised that a high school kid can throw down that stereotype.
Yeah. Well, my guess is there was some next generation up that did that job, did the whole scripted phone call, cold calls.
Quite possibly, or they could have done it themselves.
Yeah,
there's been a couple call centers in our area.
That's true. And then, they're 17, 18 years old. It's perfectly valid to put those kids to work. I personally, not a fan of cold calls. I'm not sure where the value is in those. I mean, your return on those is usually infinitesimal.
Okay, the return on numbers. Generally speaking, this is from my days of going door to door. You wanted to see 100 people.
You might.
You're gonna run across between 1 and 2 lay down buyers. Just by the numbers, average product, you're gonna run across 1 or 2 people that just say yes. It's you've got nice shoes. And people, it's a thing. We call it the rule of large numbers.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what the internet. That's what the internet leads and the cold calling is all about.
Now, the next 5 to 7 individuals, you work through the script, and they will. Okay, yeah, because you're hitting these talking points that would be of interest, and then you close.
And that's where you're watching for
no, that's just working through the script.
No, I get that, but when we're going back to our topic, which is watching for those closing options, those closing pings, which I don't always. Sometimes I miss that. If I especially have sometimes I miss that. And so with those 5 to 7, you're likely to see those build.
If you can do that, yeah, you'll start to lean out to the 7. Now the next 5 to 7 on sales, that's your salesmanship. That's your making your connections with the clients, seeing on how they're responding, throwing out something that's related to the product that they can connect to.
Okay.
Hey, when you turn 19, you're on Apple Health. I want to see you. and that way we can get you a plan set up of your own.
Mhm.
It costs you nothing.
Mm-hmm. Now, yes, okay, and that's pulling the next bit.
That's the salesmanship.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you can start to build that you're in a sales career, because you're off the lay down buyers, the miserable existence, the Willy Lomax of sales.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've gone through the script, which is the, oh my gosh, hey, this is kind of how you do it. These are some basic tools,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're on to the sales portion, where
Mm-hmm.
you start to work through and overcome it, and it's becomes this give and take flow.
Mm-hmm.
And that give and take flow means you have the attention off yourself. You have your attention off the script.
Mm-hmm.
You have your attention solely on the decision maker.
Okay.
And I have to say solely on the decision maker, because there are points where I will pitch and there's a whole herd of people in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And I will have to figure out who's got the strings to the pocketbook and who's going to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
There's been more than once I've had hey, we're taking care of this person first. We'll work on you next.
Mm-hmm.
And if you keep acting up, I'll have you leave the room so we can get this job done.
Yeah.
And that's part of maintaining control of the process. Because in reality, the buyer's in control of the process. And if someone's acting up and disturbing that buyer,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to throw everything off, and you're not going to get someone that's making a decision
Mm-hmm.
based on their wants and needs. They're based on wanting to get out of the situation. That's why
Mm-hmm.
a kid on mama's lap that's having a bad moment
Mm-hmm.
is horrible for making those decisions in a timely manner.
Mm-hmm.
I never try to close that.
No, but you can lay the groundwork for the close the next day.
You can lay the close for the next day. It's we've done many a phone call, to someone that kid having a moment, not down for a nap.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, hey, look, we've got until blah, blah, blah to make this decision. When's a good time to catch the kids in a nap, and we can set up another
Mm-hmm.
appointment?
Exactly. You got to read the room. You do.
It's more than reading the room.
Yeah.
And because particularly when we set up our office.
Mm-hmm.
And so we set buy-ins on the way in.
Yes.
And at the same time, so we're controlling that environment.
Mm-hmm.
There's very little for us to read.
Mm-hmm.
It's watching their reactions. It's like, oh, hey, when Ashley Wild.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey, Health Plan Finder. Hey, it's Mount Rainier.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love Breaking Bad. We have buy-ins all throughout.
Mm-hmm.
And I watch them and have conversations. And it's not, and then, it becomes a little more difficult when you're on a phone.
It does.
Or if you're on a video conference.
Video conference is actually a little easier.
You have difficulty when it's a video conference and they don't turn on their camera.
Do I?
Yes.
I usually just treat it like a phone call.
Yeah. No, you've mentioned that more than once to me, because it's one of those things. They can see you, you can't see them, so you can't read them what's going on.
Yeah, that's true. It's harder to feel how they're feel their temperature, as it were.
Well, it's that boiling it down to a transactional.
Yeah.
I tend to. There was someone pointed out that I have this tendency to throw the trout on the table.
You do.
If I have someone that is price,
Mm-hmm.
what am I going to do? I'm going to throw that price out on the table and see what they do with it. And it's unabashedly, I will do that. Then work on overcoming objections. I won't ease into it because there are some folks in this industry that have problems with price.
Yes.
And you can tell that. They dance around it. They'll delay presenting it.
Okay.
They'll break it down into, oh, well, it's this amount for this much liability. Bottom line, they want to know how much that payment is.
That's where, from a health standpoint, it's actually easier because there's no wiggle room. It's like, this is the price, take it or leave it. You can't change a benefit and get a different price.
Oh yeah, you can change different coverage levels.
Yes, but you
plans.
can't say, okay, I like this plan, but I want a higher deductible. Can I pay less if I have a higher deductible? You can't do that with these plans. You can change the plan. You can go to a different plan for a different price. So I actually have it from a sales standpoint. The health insurance is a little bit easier in that regard because I can't tweak this coverage and tweak that coverage to adjust the monthly payment within the particular plan.
Have you played with the paid in full?
That doesn't make a difference with what I sell.
And what I mean by this is, Delta's a good example. It's about $33 a month for some of the lower end plans. And, I will do do you want to pay for it all at once? Do you want to take care of the yearly payment? I will do that on the individual plans. Hey, this plan's $2, $24, you're done for the year.
Oh, I've done that more than once.
And it's getting that extra, hey, I can be done.
One less thing to worry about.
Yep. And that's playing with those buy-ins. Because you'll know instantly, it's like, I can do that. Cool.
But if it's $2,500, it's a little different sometimes.
It is and it isn't. Some will like, oh yeah, I got that budgeted. I've got the money. Cool. Let's take it here. And it's one less thing to worry about.
Yeah, there you go.
And some people do worry.
Yeah.
And you can tell that they worry about stuff like that, missing payments and stuff. So it's like, hey, it's one less thing to worry about.
There you go.
And that's playing with buy-ins. Because there's a point where it's like you start to have that customer rapport and you start to understand where their pain points are, what frustrates them. Oh, here's mom bouncing 2 kids on, one on each knee, another one on the way. Time management.
Yeah.
And
you're not wrong.
You start to develop these techniques with different individuals. Oh, hey, here's my retiree. They've got all the time in the world. They don't have all the people in the world to talk to. Hey, you know what? Let's set up that appointment. We can sit down and have this discussion. And I might set up another appointment for them. Hey, do you want to talk about, do you want to set up the trip insurance for your trip over to Mexico in 3 months? Yeah.
Give them a touch point and give them a chance to come and have another conversation. It doesn't have to all be done at once.
Yeah.
You just have to decide, okay, is this person, are they here because they want to talk to somebody, or are they here because they want to lock that sale down? Some it's both.
Yeah. And at the same time, it's like, I want people to alleviate those stresses.
Oh, yeah.
Things that stress them out.
Oh, absolutely. And give them a safe port.
Yeah. I've had people who have time management
Mm-hmm.
had to cancel appointments.
Right.
I will never fault someone for canceling an appointment
Mm-hmm.
if they give me enough time and it's not open enrollment.
Yeah.
Unless and this is the big caveat, sickness.
Yeah, you'll always get a buy from me if you're not feeling well and don't want to come in.
Yeah, if you're coughing, it's like no, we have managed to make it through enough open enrollments without having to shut down because we've got the plague.
Mm-hmm. And there's been plagues,
and it's very important to let people no. Do you want to take this over the phone?
Mm.
Are you feeling?
Are you feel okay to do this right now on the phone? Should we schedule this for next week when you're feeling better? Whatever. You feel out where they're at, and you make the next appointment, and make sure that they do not feel bad about canceling that appointment.
Oh, absolutely.
Give them every assurance that you did the right thing. Thanks very much for not coming in here and snorting all over me.
Well, it's acknowledgement of the situation. Mm-hmm. We're in this, Protestant work ethic. Get it done no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes step in is hey, look, you're in horrible shape. Let's let you rest up so you can make this on a clear head.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because these are important decisions and you don't want to have a fuzzy brain when you're doing it.
Oh, yeah. And that's, you're establishing buy-ins at that
mm-hmm.
point.
You are.
You're
also establishing trust.
Yeah. And it's part of being an advisor.
Mm-hmm.
You're moving away from that transactional relationship to an actual advisory position.
Mm-hmm.
And, there are folks that will do, oh, hey, let's do an annual review, and they go through a hard script.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're not cookie cutters.
No, that's we built our business on not being cookie cutter, to not having hard scripts.
One of my dear clients that come in every year gets the biggest kick out is because I asked them, how do you plan on using your health insurance next year?
Mm-hmm.
And we had a conversation about that. And it's look, I don't know where you're at in your life. I don't know, I have folks that literally plan to get their shoulders operated on.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're oh, this bronze plan is awesome for this price, I wouldn't put someone that needs, therapy in that because their need is so much greater. That's why I throw out that question.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, how are you planning on using this?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And it's one of those, I'm looking to see what their response is.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people that will, is this some sort of trick?
Oh, yeah.
And because we still get the question, hey, I don't have any pre-existing conditions.
That's still a statement. After all these years, I get mm-hmm. people, volunteering. Well, I'm healthy. I don't have any conditions. It's I don't care. Oh. But I don't ever say that.
Uh-huh.
But I let them know that that's not something that's going to impact their.
It's not a thing.
It's not a thing.
And we actually had a really deep conversation yesterday. Well, I work out, I eat healthy, I should get a discount.
Yeah.
That would be a benefits program. There are special tie-ins for groups that you can upcharge the folks that aren't participating.
Uh-huh.
And it's cool. That's literally how those are developed.
Mm-hmm.
You saw a lot of those in your old group plans with Safeway.
Yeah, it was they touted it as a wellness program, but honestly, it's here's your plus for being healthy and doing this and having your weight in this zone and your cholesterol in this zone. It's okay, well, yeah, but that if you look at it from the other side, you're actually penalizing those who don't fit those parameters.
Yeah. Yeah. I have, benefit programs are one of those ones that are, I understand, the workout bros are all like, oh, I want plus for healthy living.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, cool. You didn't have any more copays because you didn't use the doctor.
There you go.
That's a benefit. I like the ones that we've got a couple companies that, hey, you go in and you see your doctor.
Mhm.
I have a feeling that those are going to start to go away,
Mhm.
just because of the shortage of providers.
Yeah, it's getting tougher.
It's getting tough to hit that doctor, that first wellness checkup within 90 days.
Yeah. They're going to have to do some tweaking on that.
I appreciate, hey, you know what? You get a flu shot.
Because that's relatively easy to do.
That's what you do. Hey, you go through and you've got your gym time that you log in.
Mhm.
Those I can appreciate those that record that, or you participate in fun events. It would be kind of cool to see some of these guys do their, we've got a bunch of very aggressive in their outreach health insurance companies.
Yes.
I'm waiting for the moment where they tie in their fun run events and the events that they sponsor, where they have a checkoff, and that's where you get the bonus incentive.
Yeah, run your 5K and you get your bonus. Well, that's a good place to stop
Mhm.
because it's been 30 minutes or so. Good job, us.
Okay, so yes, scripts are important. And if you want to look at it, pay attention to what you're doing.
Mhm.
Pay attention to the person across the table.
Mhm.
When you go out into a retail environment,
Mhm.
see what the salesperson is doing,
Mhm.
or the customer service person is doing.
Yeah.
See if they're running script, or if they're paying attention to you.
Mhm.
And go out and have fun. So,
Yeah.
hey, that's Suzilla for the day.
That is indeed. We'll see you next week.
All right, bye.